First on the agenda, we're going to have a public safety presentation. Public comment.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me to give a few brief comments tonight. I'm Hans Reinhardt. I am the Associate Vice President and Chief of Police of the Utah Division of Public Safety. When most people hear public safety, most people think of police department. And before I go into talking about cameras and our camera initiative, and continuing to thank you for the resolution that you passed back in November in support of additional cameras on campus. To give a brief overview of what our division offers, because it's much more comprehensive than just the police department. Division of Public Safety has our fire department, the police department, our Office of Emergency Management, our Code Enforcement and Compliance Group, as well as our Environmental Health and Safety and Environmental Management Group. We also run a 911 dispatch center in the stores. In addition to those departments, our area is essentially the entire state of Connecticut. So we service all 7 UConn locations throughout the state. All stores, our regional campuses, as well as UConn Health. Our division has grown over the last 12 to 18 months, not only in the departments that we encompass, most recently absorbing the environmental health and safety and the environmental management components of UConn, but also UConn Health. Our division is approximately 250 people. We service, again, all 7 locations throughout Connecticut. And, I would say we're a wonderful group of people. If you ever have an interest in any of those areas that we are, that I mentioned, again, it's a wide array of experiences that we offer. We're always willing to, and always like to have people come in and talk with us about some of those areas. When we talk about safety and security, we look at it from a 360-degree viewpoint. Fire protection, fire suppression, emergency medical services, our planning and preparedness in our Office of Emergency Management. One of our areas that's critical to safety at UConn is our building code and fire marshal unit, which is ensuring that buildings are being built to code, whether it's building or fire building. Our Office of Emergency Management provides planning and preparedness, where in the event of a natural disaster, any type of disaster, the last thing that we want to do is start thinking about what we're supposed to be doing at the time of the incident. We plan out for different types of incidents across campus, across all of our campuses. And our police department provides both proactive patrols, reactive patrols, and we provide with many community service-oriented programs. That's really the foundation of what the police department is built upon. When we talk about cameras, we have a security technologies unit that works hand in hand with our facilities operations group, as well as the University Construction Planning and Design, UPDC. We work with them on strategically understanding where security technology should go on campus, and then we work with them to implement that technology. And one of those technologies is cameras. And I would have to say, when I saw the Daily Campus article in November about the resolution on cameras, at first I thought, uh-oh, what did we do? We did something wrong. And then when I read it, I was very happy to see that it was passed in support of cameras. Smartly placed cameras on campus. And I'm also happy to say that it, not only in residence halls, but in other areas of critical priorities across campus, we have been working fairly diligently over the last, I'd say, 18 to 36 months. In May of 2018, we presented a proposal to the Board of Trustees It was about a $1.7 million initiative to install security cameras at entrances and exits of many residence hall along the 195 corridor. And that is really in support of the resolution, before the resolution was passed, one of the initiatives that we had. But in addition to that, we've also are prioritizing certain areas of mass gathering where large events are held, Gamble Pavilion being one of them. Our mass gathering areas as well as our residence halls are our top priorities for this type of technology, not only for cameras, but also for card access to ensure that buildings are secure at the appropriate times. We've done a lot of work behind the scenes in creating a unified platform so that we have one card access system that is driving one camera system and better leveraging the money that we have and the technology that we have to provide a more safe and secure environment. Many of the times when we are looking to install security technology, be it cameras, access control, we have a unit that provides security assessments, and they will work with building occupants, building owners, building managers, look at crime stats, crime trends in those areas, look at existing conditions at those locations, and come up with a security plan that may include cameras, card access, panic alarms, as well as target hardening some of the buildings. Initiative that we are working on, hopefully to be completed this summer, is making installing bollards around Gamble Pavilion to make it a little bit more of a secure area. And again, we're doing this at all of our locations. In the last, I keep saying 12 to 18 months, but a lot has happened in that time. We have upgraded the security technology, or finishing the security technology upgrade at Incon Law. Again, on a unified platform for cameras, access control, and that system should be live in the next few months. We are completing our security assessment at Avery Point so that we can smartly install cameras and access control at that campus. Stanford, a major investment has been placed into Stanford within the residence hall and the expansion of Stanford, and happy to say that campus is completely covered. Another area where we prioritize camera placement specifically is parking lots. And in several of the newer parking lots that have either opened or will be opening relatively soon, we'll have cameras installed. And we're looking at different opportunities as construction projects go in at other parts of campus that will also install cameras. All told, at all 7 of our locations, there's probably around 1,800 cameras. With the one project I mentioned, the residence halls along the 195 corridor, that project in and itself is between 200 to 300 cameras. They're putting the camera on the building is the easy part. It's the infrastructure that goes behind it. It's the cabling. It's the storage. It's working with UITS to make sure that we are the infrastructure can support the data that needs to be transmitted by the camera, as well as having good, clear policies on what to do with the data once it's obtained. So a lot of different people have been working on it. Public safety is one of them, but facilities operations, UPDC, information technology, a lot of great work, student affairs and the residence hall project, a lot of great work by a lot of great people to move these projects forward. In addition to that technology, we're also looking at working with the One Card Office and student affairs, and increasing the security of ID cards. And there's different technology with the ID cards that needs to correspond with the hardware that's at some of the buildings. Complicated project that we've made great headway in bringing that project hopefully to an implementation stage in the next few months. So that is an overall view of public safety and specifically our camera initiative, which again, very happy and very thankful that a resolution was passed in November through the affirmation that we are moving down the right path, and it is something that's supported by the community. Thank you.
there anyone in the audience of citizens that would like to speak in public comment? I see. Yep, right there. You can turn the microphone on. Maybe off.
Hello? Ooh. Okay. So hi guys, my name is Kylie Hillerud and I am the Secretary of UConn. And I'm here today to speak in favor of the joint resolution in support of the Tier 3 reaffirmation. So all Tier 3s here at UConn are an amazing part of our culture. Students who decide to become a part of these organizations, take on more, and they're making conscious decisions to become like a leader in the community, basically. Whether that be the Daily Campus, who print stories written for students, written by students every single day, or SUBOG that plans amazing events for the whole campus community, or us, UConn, where we promote student activism, make real change, and give students the opportunity to take their future into their own hands. So UConn, in case you did not know, is the student-run, student-funded, nonpartisan nonprofit here on campus. We have a $5 per student per semester waivable fee that you can see on your fee bill. And this semester that fee is up for reaffirmation. So this vote is, not a pledge for students to pay that fee, but it's just a vote for us to have that waivable fee on their fee bill that they can pay for. So these funds are pooled together with our other chapters in Connecticut at Trinity College and UConn Hartford, and we're able to hire new full-time staff through those funds. And this staff gives us the ability to make real change, not only here on campus, but statewide and nationally too. So some of those staff are on campus, are campus organizers as well as lobbyists in Hartford and DC, and they're able to provide us active and effective trainings and resources to help us make this real change. They also provide support because at the end of the day, we are students. So with these trainings and resources that our staff provides, we're able to save students money. We have gotten a commitment from UConn Libraries, the UConn Libraries Department, the Office of the Provost, and then we passed legislation at a statewide level to promote free online textbooks usage and save students hundreds of dollars per year. And then we made Connecticut the first state to adopt a student bill of rights and that protects students with college loans from predatory lending policies. Then last spring, I had the opportunity with our chapter chair, Walter Dodson, to go down to DC and we lobbied our elected officials. And through those lobbying efforts, we were able to get a $5 million grant in the federal budget for expanding open educational resources across the country. Not only have we been saving students money, but we've been engaging students in the political process, whether that be them, signing a petition or calling their state representative for, a statewide bag ban or renewable energy resources in the state. Or they were one of the students that we registered, one of the 2,000 students that we registered to vote last semester. We give students an outlet to work on issues that they care about and make real change. We grow students into leaders and give them those resources to succeed. Personally, this organization has helped me see that I can make a real difference as a college student because I feel like, we're told that we have to wait until graduation or until we're real adults to make this real change. A vote yes for this resolution is not only a vote in support of us, but at Daily Campus and SUBOG, but it's a vote for students and student power. All three organizations have a role in our community that works to not only execute the mission statement of the university, but to show students that their voice matters. So I implore you all to vote yes for this resolution. Thank you.
Does anyone else from the audience of citizens wish to speak in public comment? Seeing no more, we'll move into attendance. Call the roll.
Senator Alavala, Senator Bonaventura, Senator Cannon, Senator Kaplash, Senator Shakawala, Senator Chudajulu, Senator Parliamentarian Contreras, Speaker Crow, Senator Demora,
Here.
Student Development Chairperson Douglas,
Here.
Senator Earl,
Here.
Senator Fernando, Senator Frank,
Here.
Senator Glassell,
Here.
Senator Goss, Senator Howie,
Here.
Senator Hooker, Senator Knight,
Here.
Senator Knowlton,
Here.
Chief of Staff to the Office of the Speaker of the Senate, Lau. Senator Law, Senator Mackel, Senator Molina, Senator McEnany,
Here.
Senator Mima,
Here.
Senator Mishra, Senator Moore,
Here.
Senator Knight, Senator Nenendal,
Here.
Senator Nemec,
Here.
Senator O'Connor,
Here.
Senator Odell, Senator Ose, Senator, wait, what's that? Student Services Chair Pan. Senator Patel, Senator Pratt, Senator Rayakota, Senator Resnick, External Affairs Chair Reynolds, Senator Roach,
Here.
Senator Sacamano,
Yes.
okay. Senator Straczynski,
Here.
Senator Thacker, Senator Wursler,
Here.
or wait, Deputy Speaker Wursler, welcome. Senator Martina, yeah, he is here, right? Okay. And Senator Sansowitz. Okay. Academic Affairs Chair Neves,
Yeah, that's here.
Presidential Chief of Staff Nazaro, Vice Presidential Chief of Staff De La Rosa, Public Relations Director,
Here. Sorry.
Executive Advocacy Consultant, Chief Justice Tuma, Comptroller Thacker,
Here.
Vice President Gathero,
Here.
and President Apia.
Here.
Ex officio Senator Kaiser,
Here.
ex officio Senator Ho, ex officio Senator Derry,
Here.
ex officio Senator Thran, and ex officio Senator Cow. Alright, thank you.
All right. Seeing as we have quorum. Before we move into the next agenda item, there are two items you'll see as suggestions to be added to the agenda. These items came to me after the governing board approved Senate's agenda, so I could not add them to the agenda, but they were of a time-sensitive nature, and I felt it would be important to add them to the agenda. Do I have a motion to do that? Motion goes to Howie. Do I have a second? Second goes to Contreras. All those in favor of adding both a bill concerning the creation of a PR team and a joint resolution in support of Tier 3 reaffirmation to the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Any abstentions? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, the motion carries. Right. So with that, we'll now move into approval of minutes. We actually don't have any minutes to approve, so we'll be approving last Senate's minutes at the next Senate. So with that, we'll move into reports. First up is the report of the Student Services Chair. I have not received a report from the Student Services Chair, so I will move into the report of the Academic Affairs Chair.
hello. Okay, cool. Hi everyone. So yesterday, sorry, I sound absolutely disgusting. I'm getting over a sinus infection. Bear with me. Yesterday at the Academic Affairs Committee, we had a really productive meeting. First, starting out, we met with the campaign coordinators from PERG of the open source textbooks. So we're really excited to get that initiative up and rolling, and we do fully support that. What they're working on, so look out for some legislation coming up from there. And then afterwards, we were looking over a draft that was sent from us from the Scholastic Standards Committee regarding a new grade appeals process. So basically, they're looking to change from the 6-month deadline. So as of right now, if you ever wanted to appeal a grade, you have 6 months to do it. They're looking to change it down to 10 days. So we kind of expressed our concern in that. And we're just looking through other parts of it. Nothing crazy changed, but that was the main concern that we had. And then of course, we're just in the process of getting our finals events together, obviously finals care packages, and then hopefully another event that'll come up as well. That's all I really have, guys.
Are there any questions for the Academic Affairs Chair? Seeing none, we'll move into the report of the Student Development Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In our past week, we were able to pass our advocacy agenda. That was one of the items that did not make it onto the agenda today because we meet on Mondays and the governing board approves the agenda on Sundays, so it will be on the agenda for our next meeting. We were also, however, able to pass the resolution that the PERG secretary spoke on a moment ago. I'll speak more on that when we get to that item in discussion. I hope we are able to pass that because I think it is a good affirmation of student power on this campus. In the last few weeks, we finalized dates for Founders Day, the Cultural Open House, and Let Them Eat Cake. Those dates are April 14th, April 25th, and April 27th, respectively. On our Green Space Initiative, we are getting bogged down a little bit with emails from administrators, but that is not stopping us. We are gathering data in other ways. And we are pushing forward on that. Finally, earlier today, myself and Chairman Reynolds were able to sit down with the Vice Chair from PERG about a Husky Engage Summit, which I'll let him talk a little bit more about in a moment. And that will conclude my report.
Any questions for the Student Development Chair? Seeing none, we'll move into the report of the External Affairs Chair.
Leaving it on again.
Leave it on to the next person.
All right, thank you, Mr. Speaker. There is a lot going on in external affairs right now. This will probably be one of the most consequential weeks coming up of our committee this year. Next week, March 7th, from 3:30 to 8:30, the time that you can attend the testimony in Hartford, there will be an appropriations hearing. We have about 20 people from stores that have signed up to take buses to go to Hartford for that. We've been reaching out with the president of the Graduate Student Senate to talk about having graduate students also come, which we've received funding approval for them to ride with us to Hartford. We are still in the process of receiving quotes for buses, so that hopefully with the passing of our budget tonight, we can get quotes, we can get food for the event. Dining services will be helping us with food for the event, so I encourage you. I did send out an email or two to the USG listserv with a form to sign up to attend that. If you do come, bring plenty of homework, and it is a really cool experience, so I would encourage you to come to that, but hopefully we can get the budget passed to get a lot of the stuff, the moving parts passed for that. Outreach for that has been going great. Thank you to my outreach chair, doing a wonderful job, all my committee members for help on that. We also had a short discussion on the government reception coming up on April 15th, I believe. We're going to be sending out physical invitations this coming Friday for that. 2 state legislators afterwards, my committee members, Senator Molina and Rubin from my committee, will be reaching out to different departments across campus, political science students, and the political science department to hopefully gauge interest in that, and other student groups to come present at that. So that once we get done with the testimony, that will be our next big task. Besides that, we had discussions today with the vice chair for UConn PERG, also the student development chair on the Husky Engage Summit, which we are planning for this September. It'll probably be later in September on a Saturday. It is moving along fairly quickly. We're going to have more discussions on that, on certain workshops that we want to have, and the themes of that. That is moving along quickly also. I'll be reaching out to our congressional delegation in Washington to hopefully attend that. Also state legislators, political science professors, and PERG will obviously be helping us get some speakers and hopefully make it a really successful event. We hope to invite many of the representatives from colleges across the Connecticut system. Also important to include people from the branch campuses at UConn in that event. We look forward to that. In town affairs, I'll take this time to address some of my committee members. Following our meeting last Friday, we found news of some developing zoning regulations that were being passed and that will be considered next Monday. Throughout that process of learning about that and talking with committee members and people in student government and other student leaders, I thought it was most appropriate that we consider this with my committee members first and no one else. So we will be discussing that on Friday. We will be taking action on that as a committee. I'd like to thank my vice chair, Andrew Rogalski, who is not here tonight, who has been steadfast on that effort, and other members of my committee who are dedicated to making sure that off-campus developments are done right and that our relationship with the Mansfield community is done right. So I look forward to that discussion on Friday, and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you. I yield.
Any questions for the External Affairs Chair? Seeing none, we'll move into the report of the VP Chief of Staff. If there's no report, we'll move into the report of the Presidential Chief of Staff. If there's no report, we'll move into the report of the PR Director.
Hello. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I love saying that. Okay, so quick updates. We have PR team legislation coming up tonight, so we can all discuss that when that comes. But we've been working a lot with Senator Worsler and Senator Fernando to work on that, and it's finally coming to fruition. Yay, we're going to put some structure to the PR team. So we're promoting metanoia. There's a lot of metanoia events happening next week, so I'm going to be sending out an email to the entire USG listserv, or Vice President Gallery will be sending out an email with all those events to you all, so you can all be dispersing that information to your peers and your colleagues and etc. We want to have a good turnout for all these events so we can kind of promote the message of youth activism. It's kind of the idea of USG if you think about it. We're also having our elections next week, so I'm going to be working together with the PR team to put together a small group of students that on Monday night will poster all around the university, even in places that are not technically allowed, with graphics that students can then just scan a QR code and vote for all the things that are being up for election from Tuesday to Thursday in about 2 minutes. So we're hoping we're going to have a better turnout this year because of the ease of voting through these QR codes. So if you're interested in helping poster on Monday night, please tell me that you're interested. Email me, and then we can I can invite you to the PR team meeting on tomorrow night, and then we'll work on it from there. Also, I know Walter's here. We're working together with PERG to have our own metanoia event. This event is going to be on not the following Thursday, but the one after that, which is March 14th, I'm sorry. And it's going to be called Changing Campus Conversation. And this event will be focused on showing students how student leaders, not necessarily student leaders like tier 3 student leaders, but student leaders like social advocacy and political advocacy, and students that are creating campus change are doing that. And we're going to have shirts, we're going to have food, we're collaborating with PERG to kind of teach students on how they can get things done and create movements on the campus in this area. So, and then last but not least, if any of you, once again, are getting any questions with the New York Times, please redirect them to me. I'm fielding those questions for the time being. Yeah, any questions?
Any questions for the PR director? All right. Before I move on to before I move on to the report of the comptroller, I mean, obviously, public relations director did not use the mic there, but he's not the only one. Make sure you use the mic just for the sake of like UCTV in the back. I know it doesn't always pick up voice. It's not that you don't have a wonderful voice, but the next report is the comptroller's report.
Hi everyone, I hope you guys are doing well. So this past week, I've just been finalizing our budget that is going to be presented today in Senate, and I would like to thank Bill Menadol for all his help, for all your help with the budget. Thank you for your time. And I've also been working on finalizing our new funding system that's hopefully going to be in fruition next year. And more details of that is going to be coming in the future once we have finalized with student activities, what's going to be happening. So that's our report for today. I yield back to the speaker.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the comptroller? Seeing none, we'll move into the report of the Chief Justice.
Hey folks, I hope you're all doing well.
Is it on?
It is?
It's like on a very low volume.
Yeah. Okay, I'll project. Great. So we're running an election. That's happening. It's well underway. Candidates have been certified. We actually held a debate on Monday. That went pretty well. I got to moderate. It was fun. 100%, 10 out of 10 recommend. You should do that too. In terms of campaigning, one thing I want to highlight is you cannot and should not be campaigning at USG events or right after USG events, right? Leave the room, leave USG funded areas, USG designated areas when you do campaign. You should not be talking campaign at in any of those locations. If you do, it is a campaign violation. If you witness a campaign violation, please submit it to me in writing. We will adjudicate these campaign violations at the end of the campaign kind of process after the elections are closed. I kind of want to give you a quick primer on how election violations are adjudicated. So first, a campaign violation is submitted. We've done this weird thing with the Elections Oversight Committee, so it doesn't exist anymore practically. It's the judiciary twice. So what's going to happen is election violation submissions will come to the judiciary and be reviewed on their merit. If the judiciary votes to hear them, they will be heard again by a panel of justices. The justices will assess whatever penalty they see fit. 3 strikes, 3 penalties mean you get disqualified from the race. That applies to every race: Senate races, comptroller races, and presidential, vice presidential races. If you accumulate 3 violations, you will be disqualified. Please read the campaign policies. They're in bylaw, I want to say 18B, and know them if you are running for a seat. If you are not running for a seat, read the bylaws. You also approved those bylaws earlier this semester. You should also be on the lookout for elections violations. We don't have eyes and ears everywhere. We are counting on you to make sure that elections are free and fair. Thank you.
Are there any questions? Are there any questions for the Chief Justice? Seeing none, we'll move into the report of the Vice President.
Hello friends, class has been canceled and therefore here I am. Okay, so I realize there might be some of you that I haven't met. Hi Monsi. And I want to introduce introduce myself. I'm Lala, VP, not for long though, cheer. So, a lot of updates. So, Metanoia. So, the Metanoia Steering Committee has been super busy recently. We actually created 2 subcommittees, a proposal subcommittee where we approved of different proposals of the university body. Students, faculty, and staff were able to submit to our body, and we were able to approve 19 events, and we were able to collect a total of $1,600, not USG funding. This is from soliciting from different academic departments, and we were able to provide $1,250 to the submissions that we were able to accept. We also met as a marketing subcommittee this past Friday, and we worked with all the tier 3s to have a marketing push for upcoming events that I will be talking about right now. So we have 2 big events on Monday, on March 4th. We have the Women's Lead, Mobilizing in a Changing Political Climate. That's actually going to be happening at the UConn Hartford campus, which is why there hasn't been as much push here. But 2 of our panelists, Danya Nisir, who was the youngest, or she was the former UN observer, the former U.S. Youth Observer to the UN, Rhodes Scholar finalist, and Truman Scholar. She's just all around a great woman, as well as Jamie Margolin, 17-year-old, founder of Zero Hour. They will both be coming to UConn after, like UConn stores, after the event at UConn Hartford. And I'm currently coordinating with the Women's Center to have a sit-down event with them. So that should be something I will be emailing you guys later, because I'd really love to see some of you guys get to sit down with these 2 trailblazing women that are really really doing great jobs in their consecutive fields. Additionally, David Hogg will also be coming later on that day. And I'm really excited to announce this new opportunity that we debuted on our website earlier today, and which will also be debuting on the Daily Campus later tomorrow. So we're going to have 8 students who have the opportunity to attend a meet and greet with David, followed by a dinner reception. And the way that you enter is basically you go on the UConn Metanoia page and you submit a question that would be potentially used during his Q&A session. And from there, we're going to be choosing 8 students to sit down and get to know him, and then have dinner along with the other panelists. And the deadline for that is this Friday, and those students will also know if they got it later on that Friday. So noon and then at night. As for banquets, so right now we're finalizing our purchase order, and I'm going to be meeting with Priyanka later on to solidify the cost of the banquet for everyone. And I'll also be letting you guys know in the next week and a half where you guys can purchase your tickets. We're going to be moving to an online avenue instead of, or an online vendor, or what? No, what's Marketplace? Online ticket seller that Student Activities uses this year, just so it'll be less difficult for the office staff. And I'll be sending another email also in the next week for you guys to let me know whether or not you can come for sure, because it's hard to book transportation without that. Lastly, I met with PERG last week on Friday with Austin, who's the chair of the Site About Hunger thing, and we met with the Dean of Students, Ali Doherty, Director of Dining Services Dennis, and Director of Student Health Services, to discuss the expansion of an emergency fund for students, and also creating a safety net / accessibility pamphlet for at-risk students that might need emergency funds, and that's about it. So enter to meet David Hogg, that's super cool, and stay tuned for more Metanoia stuff.
Any questions for the Vice President? See, we'll move into the report of the President.
Hello everyone, long time no see. Excited to see you all here in the ballroom once again. I have a few things to say, so this is going to take a while, but first off I want to talk about Husky-thon. Thank you to everyone who donated, thank you to everyone who participated. It was really wonderful, and I don't know if you've all heard, it's been everywhere, but as a whole we raised $1.3 million, and I think that's absolutely phenomenal. I'm so happy that it went well for us this year, especially since it's the first year we've had a team. I think the support that you've all given has been really and truly incredible and wonderful. And I also want to thank our DRs, Josh Machina and Fiorella Contreras, for all of the work you've done in marketing and fundraising and all of that. You guys did a wonderful job, and I really thank you both for that. Recently, I've been working with Eric Schultz. He is the chairperson of the Delta General Education Committee, along with Katrina Higgins, who is the director of university advising. I've been working with them on restructuring the general education requirements, and our next step is to create a survey for students to hear what they have to say about the new structure so that we could get proper feedback, and then from that implement that feedback and make the structure better from there. I have some exciting news. We finally hired a new person for the special payroll position at the front desk for the USG office, which is really great. I know the staff is really excited to have another person there again, meet Miss Lindsay, and we're so excited because hopefully this will increase efficiency in the office with students who come in for funding questions. Her name is Kathy. I don't know what her first day is, but if you do see an unfamiliar face at the front desk, please be sure to say hi. She's really awesome, and I know she'll do a lot for us. So. I wanted to talk a little bit about COSGA because now we're hitting March. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the selection process, what COSGA is all about, as well as announce our attendees, since I didn't want to announce it through a report that I wasn't here for in person. And so COSGA is held every year in Houston, Texas, and it's usually there to promote building the next generation of leaders. And that fits right within my vision that I have as president here for USG. Every decision that I make, I try to root it in the idea that we are trying to make USG better for the future. And so, whoever the next president is, when they inherit all the things that we're going through, the issues, both good and bad, they can do so properly, and they can work with administration and with senators who were properly trained in order to carry that on, and so that we can fulfill the vision of our students and support them the best way we can. And so that's why I wanted to bring it back. I thought it really fit perfectly within my mission as president, and I think it's a great opportunity for students and student leaders to really grow and develop in their own personal and professional development. And so going off of that, we had about 20 applicants, and the selection process was really rooted in making sure that the opportunity to attend COSGA was given to newer, younger members who may not have had the experience. This is their first time being leaders, so it would be a really great opportunity for them. I really tried. We only had 8 spots, excluding me, and actually 6 spots available. So there are 8 people attending, 6 spots available for those to attend. And I really wanted to make sure that I was giving equal opportunity to younger, new members of the organization who have shown so much support for USG and are really ready to get the ground running. And also to members who've been here for a little bit longer as well, to give them the opportunity and the platform to also grow and apply what they've learned to what they've done here at USG thus far. And so based on that, I made selections, and I selected the following. We have, and if I say your name, could you please stand? Damani Douglas, Damon Reynolds, Trinity Nair, Holly Ann Lau, Ethan Worsler, and Derek Pan. So congratulations to the COSGA attendees. Tonight, we will be passing our budget, and COSGA is included in that. So if the budget passes, we will continue in processing, funding for that, and be on our way. But really, I'm really excited to bring COSGA back, because last year we didn't have the opportunity to do that, and now that we had a little bit of leeway this year, we found that we could bring students along, and hopefully, I really hope that if we do have the opportunity to go, that we can be able to bring back great ideas to make USG flourish and to help represent our constituents adequately. I'm really excited for that. If you're wondering who the other person is that's going to be co-leading the trip with me, it's going to be Nandan Tumu. He was selected based on his experience here in USG, and I believe he'd be a great mentor to the students, especially from a policy and structural standpoint, because he has served as Chief Justice and Speaker of the Senate. So I believe he'd be a great contribution to the trip as well. And I'm excited to be a part of it as well, since I've been in the USG for about 3.5 years, and I want to make sure that I can do the best I can in terms of mentoring and really growing that next generation of leaders, because that is my mission, And I really hope that we can carry that through to really build a stronger USG that can represent the student body adequately. And so yeah, so we'll talk about this a little bit more when the budget comes up. That's what I have for now. I also have another announcement for USG Member of the Month. So we haven't really done this before, and I think it's so important to recognize those who have gone above and beyond in this organization. It's important in building our culture, and that's why I think it's important to do this now. I'd like to announce that our USG Member of the Month is Miss Lee Fernando. The selection process is based on, I had the governing board submit some ideas and names for who should be USG Member of the Month. And she, like everyone brought up her name, and it was very clear that she has left a mark on this organization, and she's absolutely wonderful. And I actually wanted to take some time to read a few of the things that members said, because I think it's really important. One person said, Ms. Lee has shown extreme initiative in addressing the issues that affect USG and has demonstrated her passion for supporting the student body through her work so far. Another member said that she brings an incredible energy, warmth, and positivity to the office and to the internal culture of USG. And one more. She also, in external affairs in particular, she has been a leader and a champion for empowering women throughout the organization, as well as bringing in new members and spearheading future changes in our PR structure. So again, this is someone who really envisions and embodies the vision of USG, and really is very passionate. So I want to thank her for her work. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And the last thing, and going off of that, just going off of empowering women and strong women, I was able and honored to attend the Valentine's Day event last week, and it just stunned me because we have some incredible women in USG, and they need to be recognized, and they need to be, we need to really mentor them and work with them. They're absolutely phenomenal, and it was so lovely to get to know you all, and I'm so excited to work with all these women and all of you men as well, getting to know you all, especially since I haven't been here, for the past few weeks since I've been sick. So I'm excited to work with you all the next few weeks, and I hope that you all have a good day. Any questions?
Any questions for the president? Seeing none, we'll now move into my report. Okay. So, first and foremost, I've been working with Senator Ose to bring us RISE training for the organization as a whole, but specifically Senate. I'm proud to announce that we'll be able to do that next Wednesday at 6:30 for caucus. It will take about an hour and a half, and I've extended the reservations to match that. All of you are expected to attend, and I would go so far as to say that if you are just a member of the organization in general and not just a senator, you'll be expected to attend. But obviously, it's not my discretion. I have been working, I took in feedback from caucus about the Internal Affairs Committee, and I've been incorporating that into the legislation. I had said that I wouldn't bring it up at this Senate. I won't. It'll be coming up at the Senate after. I feel I've refined it, worked it into its best form, and taken in consideration of all of those who've shared it. So I think it's most ready to go there. I've been working with new Deputy Speaker Whistler to develop the relationship that Speaker and Deputy Speaker should have. We have lunch, or rather dinner, on Tuesdays now. You're welcome to join us if you'd like. But it's just, please, shush, and let me finish. And we've been developing the relationship that a Speaker and Deputy should have. In general, Senate leadership has been working on rebuilding game night. Something that was not clarified in the email that was sent out was we're not just looking for new times, we're also going to be making this an actual initiative. We're going to be spending money on it. We're going to be buying pizza and soda. We're going to be offering incentives, like if you win a game, you get an excused office hour, things like that. We're still planning on exactly what those will look like and what that'll be, but I highly suggest that when the parliamentarian sends out another email tonight asking for more times, that more of you put in for that, because there will be free food and there will be excused absences that are up for grabs. So with that, the first one will probably be at the end of, not this week, but next one. But we'll be looking into that and approving money for that early next week. Otherwise, I think that's most of everything. Are there any questions for me? Okay. And then, seeing none, we'll move into the first item, move to old business. Seeing as there is no old business, we'll move into new business. The first item on the agenda is a bill concerning the approval of the undergraduate student government spring 2019 budget. Do we have a motion? Motion goes to Zanswitz, second goes to Moore. All right. First thing I'll do is pull up the budget. Then I'll have the comptroller to present the budget. Give me one moment to actually pull the.
Yeah, of course. Is this working? Great.
Just let me, if you have anything you need to communicate, just talk to my deputy. He'll make sure he was. Okay. Okay.
Sounds good.
Whenever you're ready, you have 10 minutes.
Okay, hi everyone. So I'm here to present you guys the spring 2019 budget for the undergraduate student government. So I hope you guys took a look at this on your own time. For time purposes, we have a long night. I'm not going to go through every single allocation for the expenses, but we'll just talk about the rollover in particular. So yes, we see the rollover as high. I just want to clarify why that is. So this is actually not the most accurate number. There are a few KFS bills that still have yet to be paid. So after that has been done, it's going to be around $600,000. And so I guess I will address the history of USG in particular. So a few years ago, about two, they were projecting a deficit within our USG budget because of overspending. And to eliminate this, they got rid of a lot of previous initiatives that we used to do internally and externally to try to eliminate overspending and to use student fees as efficiently as possible. And the result of this, they got rid of a fall banquet, so we used to have a fall banquet. They got rid of committee dinners, as well as Student Appreciation Day, as well as COSGA. And this is the first year we're bringing it back after it was eliminated. And they limited funding for student groups by placing a cap from $12,000 to $10,000. And that was to eliminate wasteful spending within the undergraduate student government. So these changes were made 2 years ago. That's one of the reasons why rollover has increased. Secondly, in the past, we faced a lack of accountability within our funding board that it was. And so this year is the first year that we've created a funding student staff. And all of those students are paid, and they review and they vote on our request. Because of that, our work efficiency has increased significantly, and also accountability has increased with how we are funding student groups. Before there was a leniency within our policies, and policies were not followed as much as they should have been by past funding boards. So this past semester, they have put a lot of scrutiny with the policies and made sure that student groups are following them, including following deadlines as well. So in result, we've realized that there are many other avenues to increase funding, including redoing our funding policies. So last year, the funding policies were redone, and because of that, funding has increased as well. We've raised numerous caps up, and we are, the point that we are at now with funding, we were not close to that last semester, and we are, I believe, $200,000 above Tier 2 spending this semester, and that's because of our policies. So in conclusion, this rollover will not be a consistent thing. The next comptroller and I are working together to figure out how to spend student fees and making sure it goes back to the students. And we're going to evaluate statistics from spring 2019 to making sure that we're spending more accurately and more efficiently as well. So yeah, so in terms of why fall 2018 fees may have not been completely used as projected. One, many activities that we had allocated fees for did not come to fruition. One of that is the New York Times, but that was out of our control. And secondly, it was Tier 2 funding had not been spent as much as allocated. And those specific details I've already mentioned. So just trying to do better, and we understand this is a problem, I understand, but now steps are going to be taken to reduce rollover. Thank you, and yield back to the speaker.
All right. With that, before we sit back down, I'm going to ask, are there any questions for the comptroller? Go one and then two.
Sure.
Do you, Senator Sacramento, you first.
Can you give a rough estimate to what the rollover actually is as of today?
So I cannot give you the exact number. I would have to check into the office tomorrow.
But not an estimate.
I would say it's not as high. I'm estimating around $600,000 instead of $851,000. That's the
Senator Zensowitz.
Do you have a breakdown real quick? And just go out of other expenses.
I did it on my computer.
Just to quickly add, so if you have any questions about the budget that I can answer, that would yield to committee chairs as well.
Okay.
That was my question.
Yeah, go.
Are we writing a $25,000 check to send that away?
Oh, I saw, I was just.
Is that right?
So, Isabel, you want to talk about this, of how we can go for that?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll yield to the Vice President, so if you can speak.
Can you repeat your question?
Is the speaker charging us $25,000 for?
So, yes, so this was a collaborative event that we did with Subak and Yara Shahidi came. So Subak gave $40,000 and we contributed $25,000.
Are you asking me to that answer your
Thank
question?
you, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions for the comptroller? No.
Just another question. Considering that the funding policies were changed and allocate a lot more money to student groups, how come the amount allocated to Tier 2 funding is not vastly different from previous ones?
So that's a good question. So, I definitely did not want to overspend as well. And last semester I had allocated a lot, and the study staff did not spend that much money on it. So I didn't want there to be that big of a discrepancy, if that makes sense.
Okay. Follow up?
Yeah, just
Just so that I can understand, so let's say you get funding requests that go beyond $750,000. Is cap at $750,000? Is that how that works?
So it is capped unless we make amendments to the budget, which we can bring back to Senate bodies.
any further questions for the comptroller? All right. Seeing none, we'll now move into discussion. Is there any discussion on the budget? Want to discuss or motion? Discussion? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
You have 2 minutes.
Hi. I just thank you, Comptroller Thacker and Senator Nenadal. I know you both have worked tirelessly on this budget. So I just want to bring your attention to the rollover. I am concerned with passing this budget without knowing precisely where that rollover came from. The rollover amount is actually more than the amount of money we took in from student fees this semester. So essentially, if we were to base our budget solely off of student fees, right now we're working with a budget that's double the size it should be. And I am just concerned that we don't know exactly where the rollover came from. I'd like to see something in writing. as well as that the budget projects about $600 or close to $650,000 going unspent as well. So right now our revenue is at $1.6 million, and I think we're spending around $1 million, rough estimates. So again, it's a similar problem to budgets in the past that haven't maybe allocated all of the money specifically, but considering that now we're projecting over $500,000 to go unspent, I'm just concerned with passing this budget tonight. I think it should be revisited, perhaps some amounts adjusted, maybe allocate more to Tier 2 funding, perhaps allocate more to some staff in the office, whatever it may be. But I'm not in support of passing this now with the projection that there's so much money that's going to be unspent, as well as the high rollover without having seen exactly where it came from. We have a duty to represent the students here, and I think the students deserve to know where their money went last semester and why it's coming into the budget this semester. Thank you.
Next on the speakers list is Chairman Douglas.
I have two quick points. First, to the speakers before me, I would caution heavily against tabling tonight. All of the committees are going to look to be spending money in the next few weeks. I know External has got an item coming up for Friday next week, or the following week before we'll have our next Senate meeting. Development is going to look to spend some money. So if there's corrections that need to be made to the budget, I will strongly urge my colleagues to make those changes tonight. My second thing is a question, and I should have asked this before, but I didn't notice it. In community outreach, there's on the description line, there's a symbol. I wasn't sure if that was overtyped or that was supposed to be left empty for general community outreach. I'll yield to the comptroller if she'd like to answer that.
I'll accept that.
Sorry, I apologize, that was a typo. There were many people accessing this in the last few weeks, a few days rather. But that description, would it be made as an amendment?
Yeah, we would need an amendment to,
right, so if I do want to make an amendment,
strike that.
No, to a description saying, alt-break training up to 50, alt-break trips funded up to 50%. Up to 45,000.
Is there a motion to add an item a description that reads alt-break trips funded up to 50%? We don't have access to this. All right. So we're going to have the motion goes to Sacramento, second goes to Glassell. Give us a moment while we figure out the edit access.
What email should I give it access to?
Should be represented. Just if not already.
Maybe like 30 seconds. Okay, you should have got access.
We're still not working.
Can you refresh it?
Yeah, go ahead. There's adding. Can you make the amendment as well, and it'll just show up? I'll actually get a motion for a 1-minute recess while we, by unanimous consent, while we figure this out. Is that acceptable? Does anyone object? No? Okay, good. Thank you.
I like it.
Hey, Dylan, could you come up here a second?
You're getting me in trouble.
We're just gonna look inside. Would you mind just signing in on your
I'm not sure that I'm shooting just good 5 minutes. I've just got
All right, we're going to go back to actually. All right, everyone, we're going to end the recess. Oh, okay. Well, then we'll just make it. All right. So, would the comptroller mind repeating the amendment again, as just so we know?
So for community outreach, just if you do not know, and when you set with them that we fund all the alternative rates up to 50% of the trip, up to $45,000. So I would like the description to be alternative rate funding up to 50%. Capped at $45,000. Please let me know if you have any questions.
And that motion went to, do you have the motion in the second? The motion went to Sacramento, and the second was, Douglas. Oh, wait, no, it was Glassell, wasn't it? Liar. All right, so the motion went to Sacramento, and the second went to Glassell. All right, is there any discussion on this amendment? Comptroller just described. Does anyone else want to have any discussion on this? All right. Seeing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in favor of this amendment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Any abstentions? The opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, motion carries. Move back. No speakers list. Senator Glassell, you're up next. Yeah, what's up? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, can I get a breakdown of the cost? Why is it taking how long?
It's a point of information. I can yield to you. You can, since we moved through questions already, like you can ask that now. That's not. Connor, I appreciate it. If you let, I will yield to either the president or the comptroller to explain.
Sure, I yield to you.
Awesome. So I'm sorry, you would like the breakdown?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay, awesome. So COSGA takes place from March 29th to March 31st. And we will be travel time, so those days will take place on March 28th and April 1st. So the cost covers flights. I don't have the specific numbers because my chief of staff works with those numbers. But flight for 8 people is factored into that cost. Shuttle transportation to the airport is covered in that cost. Hotel for 4 days or 4 nights, my apologies, is covered in that cost. And I believe that is it. So this doesn't include food or anything. That's it.
Senator Glassell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, if you could change it back to just the overall summary, please. As it currently stands, we currently have several $100,000 currently being unspent. That is a safe estimate, as currently, as the comptroller has pointed out, our rollover estimate is currently believed to be an overestimate, so we currently will lose some money there most likely. So we want to leave a fair amount of space between what we spend and what we expect to be able to spend, so that in case there are any errors anywhere or unexpected costs come up, we'll have a buffer zone so that we're safe. And this money can then, as they've also stated, this budget can be amended so that the money that we have excess can be spent at a later time. So as it currently stands, this budget is good. It will allow for our committees and the USG as a whole to begin taking actions on initiatives and such. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield. Oh, I yield any remaining time I have to Comptroller Thacker.
Yeah. You have about, yes, plus I'll notify you when his time ends and your time begins.
So thank you, Connor, I appreciate that. So just a little background, I actually did not realize the rollover was so high as well, just because I get these numbers at the end. And so I think there's a few reasons for this as a whole. I think that as a USG, we just need to come up with more initiatives. And unfortunately, that's more than my role requires. I think that this is something we all need to be accountable for, and how we spend our student fees, not just the executive board, but Senate also. If you have any ideas, let us know, come to us, let's figure out something on what we can do. My goals just for the next few weeks, and hopefully even after my term ends, is that we educate student groups on how they can receive funding and how it can be more accessible to them. I've already spoken to Chris and Carr about combining training together with solid training and having all that together, so student groups know that USG funding is accessible to them, up to 10 grand a semester. Ultimately, that is my goal. Further, I am also going to change the policies. I hope the next comptroller is as well, to increase the cap if need be from $10,000 back to $12,000. So there are many different means to figure that out. Unfortunately, we need statistics and numbers, and we need the semester to end to try to figure out exactly where that spending can take place. So I agree completely. We need to be more transparent with this. We need to spend our rollover. I agree. But I think we will have to pass this to now spend the money, as well as continuing to do research and continuing to try to spend the money that we already have. And whether that be activities that you guys want to see, that's up to you. You guys are senators, you are part of USG. Let us know, let's work together to spend this money. Thank you. I yield back to the speaker.
Thank you. Next on the speaker's list is that a motion? Point of information, yes, go ahead.
Just a quick question. With the rollover, what thoughts have there been, obviously, with the other municipal organizations having the thoughts of allocating that money to students, as it is $600K, that's a lot of money, so allocating up to the body as well as the student organizations.
Right, no, I completely agree with you. I think that we have kind of initiatives that we're trying to do. I know the contraceptive initiative is something that we want to do. We will need funding for that. I think that altogether there's been a lack of initiatives that have gone to fruition this past year. In the past we've had tampon time and we've bought many products for that. So just trying to see like what initiatives that we can come up with as a whole. My future goal would be trying to get some type of another speaker event like we did with Metanoia, something that USG has been doing, maybe even a conference that we can have, maybe even some leadership training, going to other schools, seeing what they're doing. There are many ideas that I have personally, but again, I think that as a body, we need to figure out together where we can spend that money. But I'm completely down, or I'm completely okay with spending the money and seeing where we can do that as long as it's appropriate.
Senator, oh, sure.
Okay, so I would strongly urge to pass this budget as it is right now, because all of our committees that we're all involved in, because it's kind of mandatory as a senator,
they have initiatives that they're trying to press and they're trying to make happen, which is awesome. And until this budget is passed, they can't do any of those things or even get started on it. And that's like the purpose of USG in general, is to get things done. As much as it seems like we don't do that, we're trying to do that. Other things within this specific rollover, some other opportunities that are already being addressed is our green initiative. That's an awesome initiative that's already being fleshed out and taking major steps forward. I mean, personally in my own world, with the brainstorming sessions that we've had, we've discussed many other things that could be approached within this lovely amount of money that we have available. Also, an idea for a later date within this specific rollover would be addressing changing the fees later on. But right now, the opportunities that we have with this money available, it's endless, and it supports us as students and then also supports the student body in general. Thank you.
Next on the speaker's list is Senator Donovan. All right. Next on the speaker's list is Senator Zespins.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to take a second to thank Comptroller Thacker, my mentor, for all the work she put into this budget. As you can see, this obviously wasn't easy. It took a lot of hours and stress, so definitely props to her for that. Thank you very much. And Dylan as well. I'm so sorry, the next comptroller, of course. However, I do have one problem. If we could go to the breakdown, other expenses. Can we not? Oh, no, I'm sorry, not other expenses. Governing board, right there. So, Casca is right now allocated $10,000, and I don't know if you guys know, but undergrad tuition in state here is $13,000, so we're essentially almost using someone's entire undergrad tuition towards a couple-day event that doesn't really seem necessary to me, to be honest. I think this money could be much better allocated in other ways. I don't know where you guys stand. I'd be happy to vote on it, but I just couldn't rationalize to my friends why I would vote on something that truly doesn't seem necessary, and I hope we can try to find some compromise there. Thank you. I'll leave the rest of my time to comptrollers who like this one.
You don't have to say. Okay. Next on the list, Chairman Reynolds. Motion.
All right, a really quick consideration to make. I strongly urge passage of this budget. If this does not pass tonight, we have a testimony trip to Hartford that will essentially be derailed if this budget does not pass. So I encourage you not only to pass it, but to critique it and analyze it so that we're spending student fee money as appropriately as possible. I remember one thing that came up earlier in the year in executive training was Kim Miller, who oversees all of the funding for USG, and trustee organizations said that when considering how we spend this money, we have to consider this as student fee money from people who are potentially sacrificing so much with the dollars they spend. We have to be able to justify everything we do that has value to the student body, that we're doing things that students can look at and say, we want this. This is something that is worth the money that we sacrifice to this university. So I strongly urge you not only to pass it, but to have that in mind when looking at this budget. I yield.
Next on the speaker's list is Chairwoman Diaz.
Just a question. Is it possible to divide the question on the budget so that certain portions of the budget be passed and the rest not?
No, not in terms of, so, yeah, like the way we'd have to do that would be strike that and then deal with it in another category. Like, it is, I don't know. Now, you can make amendments to the budget as it stands, but you can't pass parts of it. Senator Newman. All right. Chairwoman.
So really quick, first to address the rollover, I first wanted to mention that as you can see, the ACT Affairs budget is one of the smaller ones, but we will be asking for more money eventually once we get basically our stuff together and figure out what exactly we want to do. And we do have a few initiatives in mind. We just weren't able to really figure out exactly what we wanted to do. So just keep that in mind. You know, as Senator Glassell mentioned, it's really good to have that fallback money to have. So yeah, we'll be asking for money in that sense. And I also wanted to talk about COSGA a little bit. I really am a strong advocate for it, not only in that it can help students be better leaders, but let's keep in mind that this is a national, almost international conference. There's people from all over the world, or country I should say, so that can actually really help us put our student government on the map, which I think is something that we really need to do. This year we've really been making more efforts in PR, and we've really been making a name for ourselves, so I think that COSGA is another really awesome opportunity to do that. So I yield.
Next on the speakers list is Senator Glassell. As he's coming up here, I'd like to remind everyone that you have, unless you're the author, you have 2 times to speak. If you're the author, you have 3. And one of them is the time where you come up to speak. This is Senator Glassell's second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And first, I'd like to thank you for putting some money in for game night, because we are now hopefully going to get that to actually do something. So please show up, please. But second, in regards to the COSGA, I believe that as it stands now, given that the trip is already being planned, I believe that it should be kept in for this current budget, but in budgets going forward, I think we should consider the benefits of that versus the costs, as Senator Zantzowitz pointed out. But as it currently stands, I feel that this budget is what we want it to be at right now, and that we should pass this budget. Thank you, I yield.
Thank you. Next on the speakers list is Pierre Katawa.
I'll talk into the microphone this time. So I want to urge you all to pass the budget, because I've been unable to purchase a lot of things for PR, and it's halfway through the semester now almost, and I need to purchase things for PR. That's number 1. Also, I want to comment on COSGA. I think that there's a lot of debate as to why we are trying to see whether or not we should even be funding this, and I want to remind all the people here that USG is one of 7 Tier 3 organizations, and every Tier 3 organization on this campus sends more than 6 members, more than 8 members oftentimes, to conferences to showcase and highlight UConn as a premier institution where USG or whatever Tier 3 they are part of is worthy of being recognized, but also so they can acquire knowledge and information and the way other programs are doing things so that we can better our programs here. So truly the argument of we should not be spending $13,000 on a trip to COSGA is obsolete in my mind, because if UConn wants to continue to be the institution that it is, that is recognized widely, we should be collaborating with other organizations. I think making an analogy to a student's tuition is quite unnecessary, no shade, obviously. But that being said, on a budget of $1.6 million, I think $13,000 is a very, very, very small amount to be getting hung up over, especially when it is bettering our organization and the way our university is perceived. Thank you. Yield the rest of my time.
Thank you.
Point of information.
Yeah.
For President India.
You asked a point of information to me, and I'll direct it.
Fair.
Yeah.
The number of people that will need to go to COSGA, is that some sort of rule, or was that arbitrary?
And so historically, we have only sent 8 members. And I understand that, for any people that might be a lot. So that's why in the selection process, I made sure that those selected to go are mostly freshmen and sophomores, because then the return benefit is greater.
I'm actually going to allow a point of information. Is that a point of information? Yes.
Are all the members of USG going to COSGA intending to return to USG next year?
Yes, except I'm graduating, but because I have been in USG for 3.5 years, and because I'm intending for this conference, not only for them to gain knowledge about student governance in general, because it's, I want them to gain knowledge that would allow them to apply that information specifically to USG. I want to be able to mentor those students that, again, their return benefit is great. And so we are bringing information back for us to create initiatives and programming that will benefit the students. So
That doesn't work like, it's just a point of information. If I ask if someone asks a question, I can direct it to someone else, but I'm not gonna. We have a motion to amend. What are you proposing?
I would like to increase the cost of funding to $12,500. When I did the math in my head, it came out to about $12.50 a person, 10,000 divided by 8. And by increasing it by $2,500, it would mean 2 more people to go. And I think some of the concern here has been new members or old members attending. I think the old members have a duty to attend. But I'd also like to see the elected presidents and vice presidents be able to attend as well.
Is it, yeah, okay. Yeah, if there's a second to that motion, is there a second to this motion? Second goes to Zansowitz. All right. So we're going to have 2 people debate on this. We're going to have the proposer of the amendment, and then I'm going to have either council or the president, whomever would like to speak against this, come up and speak against it.
Procedure,
yes.
I don't think anyone who has a budget candidacy should have a vote on this. That's conflict of interest.
All right, that's fair. I accept that. There a candidacy for president or candidacy for anything?
Both vice president and president.
Okay, I was just talking about senator and comptroller as well. Yeah. Can I ask you for your justification as to why that is? This would only be for this year, right? So it's not going to be, as I understand it, like if we approve money for this, that's not saying we'll do the same thing next year. So we're not approving money for next year's president and vice president to go. This year's president. Does that make sense? Yes. Is your amendment to allow the next year's president and vice president to? No. Okay. Yes. All right. So there was a second to that motion from Zansowitz. All right. We're going to have 2 speakers. One will be Ernest Acklon. He's like baby. Okay. The other one will be
I'll make this quick. So essentially, I heard from some senators that they're not in favor of COSGA and they'd like to strike it from the budget. I think COSGA is a great opportunity, and I'd like to keep it. And just like Comptroller Thacker said, and like President Napia said, we've cut a number of initiatives. I don't think right now, with so much money in our budget, we should be cutting anything. However, if it would alleviate some concern that old members are attending COSGA that basically would not be able to contribute anything to USG next year after having attended COSGA, I'd like to amend the budget to allow what I hope is enough money for 2 extra people to attend. And if President Pia is amenable to that, ultimately it's her decision, she would have the means to send whoever is elected president and vice president to this conference this year. And I think that would alleviate some of the concern that the people attending the trip would not be able to contribute, because whoever's elected president and vice president obviously would learn something from this trip and be able to contribute. That makes sense. Thank you.
So I'm actually going to, I'm going to let the president address that. Yeah, but it doesn't, it can be whoever I decide, it doesn't necessarily have to be the other.
Okay, just to kind of speak on that, I appreciate that, but I do want to express and be very, very clear on this. We are voting on this budget, this is prior to elections, right? I want to make sure, that that's very clear. That's why, registration ends actually this week. So that is before, elections happen. So we won't even know, whoever wins that, we don't even have time to add them to that, to register them, to purchase flight, transportation, things like that. So unfortunately, that wouldn't work if that was the intent for president, vice president. Number 2, I'd like to, I am open to, increasing it to allow more people to go. However, again, I think to talk about vice president, whatever, it doesn't make sense. It's whoever applied, and making that opportunity open to them, I think is great. And so if that's what you want to do, that's fine.
But as far as, saying specifically president, vice president, we can't even do that, and that's, I feel like, a conflict of interest anyway, so.
I'm actually going to move into a vote on this now. Preference? Yeah, go ahead.
When were the candidates to go to Costco this year chosen?
This is a point.
So it was finalized the first week of the semester, so January 23rd.
And when were they eligible to apply?
So this was back in November.
With that, we're going to move into a vote on this amendment. I am going to institute what Senator Zanso had said. If you are running as president or vice president in this election, I would ask that you abstain from this setup.
It's a point of information as to why we're making that decision, seeing as whomever wins, like, unless they applied and they're already applicable, there are two separate decision processes, so I really five senators of their votes on that.
I understand that, but by the same token, if this were relevant and in a time-sensitive manner, if we could have it so the president and the vice president went, we would be asking them to abstain. So for the sake of procedure, I will be asking them to abstain from this vote. If it can't, what?
It's not time sensitive like that, they're not going to be questions, so. You just said that if it was that circumstance, then you have to abstain, but it's not that.
Right, what I'm saying is regardless of whether or not it's time sensitive or not, I would ask them to abstain regardless. Yes, I understand that, as the President Pia pointed out, that this amendment can't work in the way that Senator Saccomanno intends it to. That being said, I'm still going to ask them to abstain, and that's that. So, with that, I'm going to move into a vote. All those in favor? Go ahead.
Motion to appeal the decision, Chair.
All right, there's been a motion to appeal my decision. Is there a second to that motion? There's a second. The decision to disallow people to vote, the president and vice presidential candidates to vote on this amendment. All right, so I'm going to speak. Actually, I'll let the motioner speak first, and then I'll speak.
In my opinion, when the students sent us all here as senators, they charged us with a responsibility to carry forward their interests, and each of us has been fairly elected and should be allowed to carry forward voting, except in cases of a conflict of interest. I do not think that a conflict of interest could exist here. The list of people who applied has been finalized. That can't be changed by anyone. Whomever would be selected is not. None of the people who would be involved in the selection process, should we add 2 more spots, are voting members of this body. So for that reason, I don't think that anyone in this room is compelled to vote in a certain way to benefit their own interests. There is the idea that perhaps someone in this room may benefit from that, but that would actually be all of us except for the people who were already granted spots on the trip. So unless we just want those 4 people to be voting, in which case everyone else would have a conflict of interest, I don't think that the conflict here is large enough to warrant anyone abstaining or not being able to vote on this motion.
So I will take the other half. The reason I have done this is more a procedural reason than one of, frankly, practicality. The way this motion stands, it is allocating the money for the express purpose of allowing the next president and vice presidential candidate to go on this trip. The fact that that can't happen is salient in terms of whether or not you vote for or against the motion, but in terms of it could still potentially be a conflict of interest if the motion passes for this reason. And for this reason, I don't want people who are running for those 2 positions to be allowed to. Let me finish. I don't want people who are running for those positions to vote on this motion. Okay. Now I'm actually going to move into vote on this now. All those in favor of overturning my decision, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. So I made the decision to not have the president and vice presidential candidates vote on this amendment. Chairperson Douglas made the motion to appeal my decision. If you think my decision should be overturned, vote yes. All those in favor of overturning my decision, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions? In the opinion of the chair, the nays have it, the motion carries. Right. Motion fails. Oops. All right. Now we're going to move into a vote on the amendment. All those in favor, and before we go, I would like to remind you, if you're a presidential or vice presidential candidate, you cannot vote on this. All those in favor of the amendment, please signify by saying aye. The amendment is to, okay. The amendment is to add increase the amount of money for, to COSGA for the purpose of allowing the next president and vice presidential candidates to go. Is that understood? What's up? Yeah, go ahead.
What, yeah.
Yeah.
Haven't we already talked about how even if we say yes, the presidential, vice presidential candidate wouldn't be able to go?
Absolutely. And this, okay, I want to clarify something. This is a Robert's Rules thing, all right? Like, we have motioned and seconded. This needs to be, yeah.
You already asked for the ayes. We just voted yes.
Yeah. I'll explain after. All those opposed to this amendment, please signify by saying nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions? All right, in the opinion of the chair, the nays have it, the motion fails. All right, so I am going to address this. This is a Robert's Rules thing and a procedural thing. I understand that's frustrating at times. Once a motion has been motioned and seconded, it has to be debated and voted on, right? And so the body, like, you're absolutely right in that, like, there was no fiscal way in which we could do that. It wasn't possible. But we had to vote on it. The senators had to make that choice. And so that's why we had a vote. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, now we're back to consideration of the budget on the whole. Next on the list is Senator Moore. Next on the list is Senator Sacamano. All right. Next on the list is Comptroller Docker. Actually, go ahead, Comptroller Docker, you're fine. But I am going to cap the speakers list at this. We've discussed this significantly.
Okay, so I don't mean to be repetitive, but just as a last thought, so one of the reasons why, again, the rollover is high is because we've always wanted to put the student needs first as well as student fee money first. And unfortunately, it's bit us in the butt a little bit this semester because the rollover is high. But know that the intentions originally were just to keep us from overspending and spending inappropriately. It was to keep more tabs on USG as a whole. So yes, this is a problem, and we are going to be working on it. So that's my last thought. Back to the speaker.
Thank you. Last one is Senator Zensman.
So after hearing President Apia's justification of COSCA, I had pretty much a change of heart. So I definitely think we should vote yes on the budget as is, and I'll use my time to Mr. Speaker.
And with that, we're going to move into a vote. All those in favor of this budget, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, the motion carries. Next, we'll move into a joint resolution requesting 24-hour access to emergency contraceptives and other over-the-counter medicine. Well, we don't even have to, we can just, if no one motions and seconds it, we can just move past it. Alright. Seeing as there's no...
I'm hosting on this. So I couldn't quite hear, there was some people in the session over there that couldn't quite hear.
Yes.
And I couldn't quite hear what the motion was.
So, I believe that Senator Sacamano, who is the author of this bill, does not want the bill considered to be considered at present time because he feels it needs to be made more. And he asked that no one motioned and seconded, because, right. So there's no motions, no seconds. All right, with that, we'll move into the next item on the agenda, which is a bill concerning implementation of new funding policies. I will invite the author to speak on it. First, we need a motion. Motion goes to Roach, second goes to O's. Now I will invite the author up to speak.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for letting the other one go. I wanted this to be the focus tonight. The other one needs more work. So anyway, essentially what this is, I wrote this in response to the rushed implementation of funding policies last semester. And after sitting down with the Chief Justice, Speaker Crow, Comptroller Thacker, we came to the agreement that future major changes to the funding policies shall be proposed at least 2 weeks in advance of their proposal in the Senate, and a town hall would have to be scheduled for the academic week preceding the intended proposal of the policies. So essentially all this does is, let's say, next Senate, we wanted to propose, the comptroller wanted to propose major changes to the funding policies. Major is at the discretion of the comptroller. They would have to be announced before today, and at the point of that announcement, a town hall would have to be scheduled for next week. Okay, so that's all it says. I hope you support this. I don't want to ever see funding policies passed so quickly, and I think we have the ability as a Senate to act now in response to something that perhaps wasn't as efficient as it could be. Thank you.
With that, before you sit back down, I'm going to ask if there are any questions for the author of legislation, Senator Glassman.
How did the 2-week timeline come into being? Who came up with that concept?
That was a compromise. I don't remember who came up with that. It was a group agreement. Yeah. It was an agreement. It was originally 3, and we cut it down to 2.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any questions? Any other questions for the author? All right. Seeing none, we'll move into the speakers list. First on the speakers list is Chairman Douglas, then
First of all, I would like to commend all the people who were involved in this. I had a little bit of a hand in it myself. The whole process to come up with this piece of legislation was a long one, and I want to commend everyone on the teamwork that ended up with the final piece we have here, the Chief Justice, the Comptroller, and Senator Sacamano, with some help from some others, including the Speaker. The process was over multiple weeks. There was a lot of time and thought that went into it. And again, I just want to commend everyone who's involved in that. It's a well thought out piece of legislation. And I think we get something like this when everyone's doing their jobs right. Oh, yeah.
thank you. Yes, Comptroller Thacker.
So first I want to thank Senator Sacamano for bringing this in, for his work. I agree with this completely. Unfortunately, there hasn't been any precedent set of how funding policy should be passed. So with my term, it was the first that we've done something like this before. And with everything, you realize there are many improvements and there's many things you could have done to make that better. And one of the things that I would have changed would have been to give students a lot more notice for these funding policies. But unfortunately, sometimes there are a lot of chefs in the kitchen and things don't go as planned. But I think this amendment to our bylaws is definitely going to help that and making sure that in the future, all leaders have accountability when passing these stuff and having major changes to Tier 2s. So I agree with this.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in favor of a bill concerning the implementation of new funding policies, please signify by saying aye. 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 All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Any abstentions? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, the motion carries. Next item on the agenda is a bill concerning the creation of a public relations team. Do we have a motion? Motion goes to Howie, second goes to Knight. I will invite the author of the legislation up to speak. 5 minutes. Pull yourself. Public relations there.
I know I have to like a button. That was
all right. Order, everyone. Yeah, 5 minutes.
That's my USG number.
All right.
Hi everybody. Hope everyone's having an incredible night. So I hope everyone's had a chance to look over this legislation that we have slaved away at many, many meetings. Most of the meetings we just made fun of Ethan, but that's not important. This is a bill concerning the creation of a public relations team. It's very straightforward. It predominantly focuses on structure in the PR department that we currently do not have because we have our current PR director, Omar Talway, who is a superhuman. We don't deserve him. He does too much for he does too much for the org already. And when he does graduate, there will be a very, very empty hole in our hearts because it's true. Essentially, this legislation outlines a structure for the PR team that does not currently exist, and if anything, PR is essential to what we do in the org. I don't know if we all believe in that, but it's true. We wholeheartedly need PR for people that know what we do on campus. And more than anything, Omar does a lot in general for PR, so without him here next year, at least, we need structure in place and rules and guidelines that essentially help the next PR director to actually have an idea of what they're doing. That's pretty much it. That's all I have to say. Any questions? I yield my time.
Yeah, before you sit back down, are there any questions for Senator Fernando? All right. See, now we'll move into this. Is there 2 questions? Do you have a question? No? Senator Reynolds. Chair.
Can you explain the differences proposed in this piece of legislation and what the biggest changes that the current public relations director would undertake?
Awesome question. So currently in the bylaws, there's not much that talks about PR director at all. There's not anything that details what the scope is of the current PR director. Our current PR director is kind of just taking what's written for him and running with it. So this is just something that outlines. I think you can actually scroll up if people would like to. Scroll down. If anyone would like to read it, and it gives pretty much clear guidelines and a general idea of what should be done if someone was PR director and how to follow the structure if they were appointed. Anything else?
Does that answer your question? No? What? Do you have? No. Anyone have? Do you have a question? Your hand was raised. Does anyone else have any questions?
Can I yield the rest of my time to PR Director Talway to talk about legislation?
So we moved into questions,
okay,
but he's welcome to come up and discussion.
Yeah.
And with that, we will now move into discussion. Is there any discussion? Is that a motion?
Motion made.
Right. What is your motion?
Motion to strike the first therefore clause and replace the term communications director with public relations director as we were.
Is there a second to that motion? Second, comes to Senator Worcester. Or Deputy Speaker Worcester. Yeah, okay, good. That's not one. I was good. There's no need for a vote on this because the amendment is considered relevant.
Strike that first therefore clause. Everywhere else.
It was motioned by Douglas seconded by Worsler, and taken as friendly. Well, you guys are working at that. I'm going to ask if there's any discussion to be had on this. Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
I'll use the microphone again. So the PR team, as you can probably tell, right now there's not a lot of structure. I only formed the PR team this semester on my own terms. We've had like a impromptu PR team, which is made up of our outreach chair, outreach director technically, and our graphic designer and myself. That being said, there's a lot of like gaps where I take up a lot of the responsibility because we don't have people in those places that are specialized for them. Part of the reason why there needs to be a PR team, in my opinion, would be because dividing the responsibilities amongst people that are specialized in those areas, but also making sure that there's representation from all the committees so that the next incoming PR director does not have to take the responsibility of doing everything on their own. I have no problem doing it because I have a lot of skills in like both communication and designing, etc. But the next PR director will surely need some help, and I'm not talking down upon them, but I'm a workaholic and I don't think anybody wants to work as hard as I do to work on the PR. Also, other universities have PR teams or communications teams or whatever they like to call them. With the work that we've been doing this semester, we've actually been applauded by URI, who emailed me being like, your PR is great, how do you do it? And I was like, I have no idea. We should maybe come up with a PR team so that it continues like this. So I don't really know why anybody would oppose, but if somebody does oppose, please yield to me so that I can argue with you. Yeah, so please support this legislation. Cool. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion on this? Is that a motion? It is. What is the motion?
I move to amend just two very small things. I'd like to, in the last whereas clause, I'd like to make the sentence that starts with a team of representatives its own whereas clause. And then I'd like to change the word shall in that sentence to would, because that makes it sound like a whereas clause instead of a therefore clause.
Is there a second to this motion? Second goes to Howard. Is this amendment taken as friendly? Okay, take this as friendly. Okay. Without resounding support, the amendment is taken as friendly. There's another motion.
The previous correction is the communications director in the first edition clause.
Oh, thank you.
Yep, thank you for pointing that out. We don't need to make an amendment on that. Is there any other discussion on this? Any other motions? Motion, okay, there's a motion to amend.
In a few places within the therefore clauses, the PR team is referenced as a PR department. I'd like to amend all instances of team to department, of department to team.
Is there a second to that motion? Second goes to Senator Rutherford. Is that taken as friendly? Is that taken as friendly? All right, awesome. That is that way. Is there any other discussion on this? Any other motions, amendments? All right. Seeing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in favor of this legislation, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Any abstentions? One from Senator Fernando. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, the motion carries. Next, we're going to move into a joint resolution in support of Tier 3 reaffirmation. We have a motion. Motion goes to O'Connor, second goes to Nenadol. I'm actually going to turn the chair for this one over to my Deputy Speaker, Worsler.
Good evening, folks. Please, I have a bit of a learning curve seeing this is my first time, but I'm going to do my best I can. So would the authors of this piece of legislation please come up? You have 5 minutes. Senator Nora.
Good job, Ethan.
tonight. You heard Kylie Hillary from PER come to talk about it in public comment. This is a pretty straightforward bill. We all know that our elections are coming up next week, and 3 other Tier 3 orgs have vested interest not only in our elections, but in their own fee reaffirmations. These are organizations that are funded by student fees directly, just like we are, and it enables them to do all of the great work they do on this campus. Basically, this legislation is just to say that we support their votes and hope that students vote yes. And it's basically a nod to them because these are 3 great orgs. We have Daily Campus. Every college in this country is not lucky enough to have a daily published campus newspaper, and I think we're really lucky for that. And Daily Campus has been doing great journalism lately. I think even better than some of the professional journalism I have seen in the past year. But anyways, we have PERC, you know, Kylie talked about that before. Great activism, love that. And SUBOC, great events. I think we've all attended at least one SUBOC event, so I think we'd be remiss not to have them on this campus. But they're asking for a fee increase so that they can provide, eliminate ticket sales for students to go to events for free, which would be really great and help us out. So at the end of the day, this is really about campus relations. Campus relations is really important, something we should be looking at always, because campus relations allows us to take on more, and especially with these 3 orgs, showing our support for them can allow us to take on more with them in the future and have collaborations as we have had in the past. So yeah, I hope you vote yes, and that is all I have.
Are there any questions? Senator Moore. If there's no questions, we'll move into discussion. First up, we have Chairperson Devon Douglas. Chairman. Chairperson. Chairperson, excuse me.
Peter's fine. Thank you, Mr. Chair. When this piece of legislation came to me over the weekend, I said we had to definitely get that on the agenda to make sure we got passed through development on Monday. I think it's paramount to what we do as the voice of the students to work in favor of the other Tier 3s, especially when they do incredible work all of the time. Even the ones that are not up here, they do incredible work to help increase the quality of campus life here and for students across the state. I think that their mission is invaluable, and I would urge all of you to vote in favor of this this joint resolution. I'll yield. I was looking at the motion to
Okay, exactly right now. Motion to amend. What would the amendment be?
I was unable to add footnotes before we got here today. I sent some footnotes to the representative account. I'd like to motion to add the mission statements, or a link to the mission statements of each organization to their respective organizations.
Do we have a second for that motion? Yes, a little more. Senator Moore. Yeah. Okay, so with, that is in order then. Is that keeping us friendly? Yeah, if that's friendly, then that's no problem, that should be added. Okay. Next up, we have. No, not speaker good. Senator Kaiser. Ex-officio Kaiser, excuse me.
Hey everybody. So the first thing I want to do is just thank the authors of this legislation. You know, Tier 3s are a really unique type of organization, and we love supporting other Tier 3s. When a student makes a decision to join a Tier 3 organization here on campus, they're deciding that they want agency over their college experience. When you join Daily Campus, you're deciding that you want to help inform and enrich your fellow students. When you join SUBOC, you decide that you want to improve the quality of life of your students by having all these amazing events. When you join UConn, you're deciding that you want to have, you want to have a say in our future and all students' future and represent them on a broader stage than just UConn. Again, it's a really unique type of organization. It's we are a very strong coalition, and beyond the ones that I just mentioned that are up for reaffirmation. These are all amazing organizations, and so, again, I commend the authors for writing this legislation to support other Tier 3s. I encourage you all to vote for it, because a vote for this is a vote to empower your fellow students, and student power, I think, is the most important thing we bring to campus. So, yeah, I yield my time.
Anyone else on the list? I guess we'll move into a vote. With that in mind, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. All votes against, say nay. Any abstentions? And then, in that case, I believe this legislation passes. Congratulations.
Before we move on, I do just want to have another round of applause for my Deputy Speaker, Senator. I don't want to harp on it too much, but chairing is one of the most terrifying things. A Senate meeting is one of the most terrifying things you can do in this organization, and getting over it the first time is a really big deal, and you did a very nice job. So. With that, there's no more items in new business, so we will move into discussion. Is there any discussion? What's the discussion? Yes? Chairman Duckers?
I'll keep this really brief. I just want to commend Ethan on the job he did. He did better than I did my first time. But he got the dinners and I didn't. So I think that might have something to do with it, but he did a great job.
Are there any other points of discussion? All right. Seeing none, we'll move into announcements. I will make the first announcement. I talked about this a little earlier. Senator Glassell referenced it earlier. Game night is going to be an actual thing now. There will be free pizza and free soda and free other things that you should definitely come and enjoy. But before that, you need to vote on the poll that we sent out. Parliamentarian Contreras is going to send it out again so we know what time the vast majority of you can come. I think this is very important. It's important that we get together, we have some fun, because otherwise all we do is pass legislation, and who wants to do that? So I'm actually going to yield to her for a little bit. So,
adding on to that, it won't just be just pizza. We want to do stuff like Gansett wraps and like DPO and stuff like that. So we'll change it up every now and then. And we also want to bring console games. I'm probably bringing in my Wii, so if you want Mario Kart it up, you can do that. Or Super Smash Brothers, all that stuff. I will be sending out the email tomorrow as I have an exam in the morning, so don't expect anything from me tonight. And please fill out the poll.
yeah, sure. Look forward to seeing you all there for once.
Wow.
Next, are there any other announcements? Chairman Reynolds.
All right. 1 week and a day from now, we will be in Hartford. Please sign up if you can go. It is a great opportunity. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your brothers, neighbors, I don't know, anyone who can come. We need the support. This isn't just about, attending and sitting in the back and doing homework. It's about supporting UConn and supporting UConn's future. Our state funding, we are receiving a $10 million increase, but please be there. We need all the support we can get. That's next Thursday, March 7th from 3:30 to 8:30.
All right.
There will be food.
Next, we'll have an announcement from the other to Galway.
If y'all don't vote, I swear to God, I'm literally not joking. Last semester we had people that were on USG that did not vote. Do not try me. I will find you. I will literally find out if you don't vote.
All right. No threats on the floor this minute.
Respectfully.
Next time we'll hear to President Pia for announcement.
I'll make this quick. I just wanted to say that my office hours are Tuesdays, Thursdays
from 12:30 to 1:45. I can kind of stretch it to noon as well, or from noon. But please come. Like, I need more friends, and I really love that you guys would come, and I don't want to spend time. I'm going to be trying to stop by caucus a few times if I can, to also be a part of Senate and kind of get to know you guys more. But please come to office hours. Even if you want to just have lunch with me, like, just do it. You're all welcome. If you guys have any suggestions, criticisms, feedback, or anything, really come to me. I'm really open, and I will do my best to make compromises and improvements as I go. So I just wanted to put that out there. And I can send that out in an email as well, so that's in writing. So.
Next. You can go after Officio President Bureau. Cool.
Hi again, everybody. Long time no see. So I just want to let you all know that our state board chair and our chapter chair, Walter Dodson and Carl Renato, respectively, whatever, same difference. They were just in Washington for lobbying to members of Congress, and Chairman Dodson wanted me to remind all of you and ask all of you to call your representatives to support comprehensive HEA authorization. This pretty much just, it simplifies FAFSA. It's really important. Obviously, we're all students and our voices matter, so please call your representative. If you have any further questions, please go talk to Walter. He's great. He's right there. Yeah, that's right now.
Are there any other announcements? All right. Seeing none, I'll motion to adjourn by unanimous consent at 8:42 p.m.